All right. Now it's time for the second movie review tonight.
Oh, yeah.
In a world of movie references flying over his head, one man will finally watch them. This is the Matt and Blonde Show movie review.
This week's movie is the 1976 Clint Eastwood classic western, The Outlaw, Josey, Wales, in which Union militants murder a Missouri farmer's family and burn down his house so he joins a rebel guerrilla band to exact his revenge before he flees west to build a life for himself away from the pursuit of the law. From movie picker Michael, one of Clint Eastwood's finest films, in my opinion. You get a strong sense of Eastwood's political views through the story of a Civil War guerrilla fighter turned outlaw turned leader of a growing and eclectic group of settlers. As always, your review and your rating.
My review is pretty short. Probably should have added more to this, but I will say it is rare to find a movie with this perfect mix of an authentic and organic love story. You know, they were in a love triangle in real life, the actress and Clint Eastwood, and then that guy, the previous director that he ousted from the film. Clint Eastwood won, of course. And then a compelling revenge tale. And then I loved this Indian guy, Clint Eastwood, this odd couple pairing. I thought that was a really interesting dynamic, and it didn't seem contrived. It managed to do all of this with humility and without such explicit violence that it kind of overshadowed the humanity of the characters and of the story, especially the revenge story. I loved it so much. I did feel like it dragged like a little bit in the beginning of Act 2. But I loved it. I am going to give this a 5 out of 5.
Wow. What do you think? How would you guess I received it?
Ooh, I don't know. This is one of those things where I'm watching it and I'm like, Matt either loves this or he hates it.
Well, I think it was last week you mentioned that we have not had agreement on total appreciation of a movie, and here we are to have
Did you love
agreement on total appreciation. You mentioned it's like movies that do everything well, and normally I'm pretty skeptical of that because a movie that tries to do too much almost always fails. Like you can't be dramatic and funny and thrilling, but this movie has depth, it has suspense. And it really has moments of comedy too. It really actually does everything well in a way that is very rare. And just there's so many things thematically I appreciate about it. Like it has its funny moments, but it's not the comedy that makes me love this movie. You mentioned the pacing. I did actually love that it got straight to the point. Like I love it's like they killed his son. He's dead. His house got burned down. They could have spent a bunch of time showing his relationship with his family or something like that. It's like, no, they killed him.
I'm going to kill all these people. Yeah.
And he has to go on a murder quest. And it didn't waste any time. Just slap the viewer right in the face from the start and get it going. I appreciated that. I loved that. The writing in this movie is phenomenal, in my opinion. It's got tons of great one-liners that I'll reference in the review. I love the line, dying ain't much of a living, boy. I just the way it was delivered and the writing is excellent. But this scene where Josey goes to confront Ten Bears, the chief of the Comanche or whatever tribe it was. It's one of the most well-written dialogues I've ever seen.
Yes.
Because it is so thematically rich, but it's only like 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
And just, I'm amazed that they're able to compact so many things of value into a scene like that and have it be coherent and believable as dialogue between two people because it addresses so much. So the lines I'm talking about, this exchange between Josey and Ten Bears, dying ain't so hard for men like you and me. It's living that's hard. When all you've ever cared about has been butchered or raped. Governments don't live together. People live together. With governments, you don't always get a fair word or a fair fight. Well, I've come here to give you either one or to get either one from you. I'm just giving you life and you're giving me life. And I'm saying that men can live together without butchering one another. And Ten Bears has that great line. It's said that governments are chiefed by the double tongues. And that's really the entire scene. But how many things can I say about that? It's the idea that the struggle for life is actually more imposing than the fear of death, which is 100% true, but you still have a moral obligation to pursue it. Governments being inherently deceptive and exploitative, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the subjects can't get along. peace actually being a very difficult effort that requires constant maintenance and attention. It's not the natural order of the world. Just complex themes that were woven together in such a simple dialogue. It's legitimately one of the best scenes, one of the best scripts that moment that I've ever seen. I'm totally impressed with it. You mentioned the love story. This was also great timing because I savaged Hawkeye and Cora last week. This to me was a proper love story. And by that, I mean love story from a man's perspective. So,
I mean, did she have any lines?
They had some good dialogue, like when he had the kinds of suns in Kansas, sunflowers, sunshine, and sons of bitches. Some of that was cool, but Josey leaves to go confront Ten Bears, and Laura Lee comes out and kind of yells after him, and he just sort of rides off.
Right.
And it that comes off as like dismissive or cold-hearted. And then you see it in context later. It's like, what was he going to do? He was going to secure a future for them. He was going to make sure that they'd be safe to build something together. That is a man's love. It's not the sappy dialogue under the waterfall with Hawkeye and Cora. It's doing something. It's building something. It's providing your wife, or at least to be wife, with some kind of security. That is how a man shows love, and that's why I appreciated that scene.
For a
so
second,
much.
I was like, is he pumping and dumping her?
It kind of looked like that. But that's what I love too, is sometimes men showing their love can look bad, but it's actually the exact opposite. It's them doing the most important job that they have, which I loved about that scene. This whole idea that there's just a theme there of going with your words, but preparing with your guns. I loved that he's going off to see Ten Bears. He's going to talk his way out of what is a potentially deadly situation. And he does, all the while everybody back at the cabin is preparing in case it gets a little more hostile. And then it does get hostile, but not because of Ten Bears, because of a different threat that they didn't necessarily see coming at that moment. The bounty hunters. You go with your words, you use your words, you prepare with your guns. And Josey Wales did that perfectly. And lastly, just the moral obligation against the black pill. As a whole, the movie is it's a lesson of encouragement against discouragement, I suppose, against the black pill. They might burn down your house. They might kill your family. They might chase you to a barren wasteland and still pursue you further and forever. But it doesn't mean that you give up. And Josey Wales could have saved himself a lot of pain, a lot of struggle by taking one of those revolvers that he was using for target practice after they killed his family. He buries them. By just shooting himself in the head. But who else would have suffered in addition to him? It would have been everybody he helped along the way.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I love that line that he has with Ten Bears. It's living is the hard part. Dying is the easy part. But that's why you pursue it, is because everything that is great is difficult. And even if your family's killed, you got to build a new life. There's something else on the other side of that. And I loved that storytelling. And it really puts, not that our problems these days aren't serious. They are. I believe they are. But it just puts that in perspective. It's like this. I know this is a fictional story, but there were a lot of similar struggles at the time that people had to endure. People have gone through a lot worse than we have, even if what we are going through is serious and threatening. So
that's true. It does help keep things in perspective a little bit.
The only negative thing I had to say is totally petty and stupid, but it's not even negative because it's probably accurate. Laura Lee shooting the rifle with the stock under her arm was just hilarious. This total chick form, which again, I don't think that's necessarily, I could totally see a chick shooting that way, but she's also a great shot. She picked off all those bounty hunters with horrible form. So
yeah, but that's just part of the Hollywood, you have to think that the good guy is just going to take out more people than the bad guys. And I'm okay with that willful suspension of disbelief. Yeah.
It's a very minor point, so I'm not going to dock points for that. And it is a 5 wiki movie for me. Yeah.
We love you. You're very special.
When was the last time that we agreed on something like this?
I think maybe V for Vendetta. I don't know if you gave that a 5. I can't remember. You might have docked it a little bit.
I like that movie. Yeah.
I don't know that we've had a agreed upon 5 for a while. So, and I totally, after seeing The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which I liked, but these old movies, they tend to bore me. I was kind of expecting to roll into this one and be bored. Not at all. I enjoyed the full presentation.
It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
The early vote loves Josey. 64% of the early vote giving it a 5.
Oh, that's
and
great.
nobody giving it a 1, and one bastard giving it a 2. So you know who you are out there. You can't defame Josey in this way. Next week, we have The Hunt, the 2020 movie
Seriously?
about elite liberals who hunt conservatives or something like that.
All
I
right.
don't know that much about the movie, but I do know that I want to see it. And so we will watch that next week. And then the week after, this is a very special occasion. So as I mentioned, there are 5 Sundays in May that creates this special one-time opportunity. We're now 1 year into the movie bit. We have never actually considered my personal favorite movies, at least by my own nomination. So for 1 week and 1 week only, my personal favorite movies are up for the vote.
Really?
The nominees are Jurassic Park, Dumb and Dumber, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind,
Oh.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Duh!
Okay, here's one. Gran Torino.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe here's another one. Joker,
Yeah. These,
Okay.
these are all fine movies.
The Revenant.
No. Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have seen
Okay.
it. Yeah.
MacGruber.
I have not seen that.
Okay. I would have nominated Idiocracy and Black Hawk Down, but of course those have already been selected and reviewed. And I will note too, all of these I have fond memories of all of these movies, but I also have not seen some of them for years or even a decade plus. So just because I nominated it does not mean that I will give it a 5 upon rewatching presently. And of course, if you think that all of my movie picks are terrible, you do have the option, as usual, to reject the list and vote for a top-rated random selection instead. Let's see what people
Torino,
are.
Man.
I don't like to. Sometimes I don't like to see how people are voting because I don't want to skew people's votes one way or another. But early leaders: Jurassic Park, Gran Torino, and Joker, which I kind of thought the more serious movies are more likely to be picked. So if you have an opinion, and remember, this is a 1 week and 1 week only opportunity, you got to head over to my Josey Wales review, which is linked in the description. Scroll down to the poll for the next movie, and you can vote there. And I will also mention we've had some technical glitches with the polling in recent weeks. So if it's not letting you vote, if you get an error, you can scroll down to the view poll results, as I did here, and then go to view poll at the bottom, and that will take you to the straw poll website. And sometimes you can vote there if it's giving you trouble. So try that out if you're getting any kind of error message. But once again, 1 week only opportunity. If any of these nominations suit your fancy, head on over to my Josey Wales review, linked in the description, and cast your vote. And if you'd like to read my movie reviews, comment how wrong I am, submit your own rating, vote for the next movie, and sign up for the chance to be the movie nominator for the month. The one and only place to do it is in my weekly movie review column, linked in the description and on the homepage of the website. That is mattchristiansenmedia.com. And that will do it.